Imagine being so desperate you sell your own dog to a stranger for $25, and then, just months later, turning down a guaranteed check for $350,000. In the early 1970s, a young Sylvester Stallone was living in New York City, chasing an acting career that felt entirely out of reach. He spent his days auditioning, only to be rejected over and over again. Casting directors bluntly told him his look was too rough, and his speech, slurred from a complication at birth, made him uncastable. Every physical trait that made him unique was viewed by the establishment as a total liability. He was completely locked out of the industry, and his money was rapidly running out. Soon, the funds dried up entirely. Stallone lost his housing and found himself navigating the streets of New York with absolutely nowhere to go. To survive the freezing nights and stay off the pavement, he spent several days sleeping inside the Port Authority bus terminal. He had one companion left, his bull mastiff, Butkus. As the days stretched on, Stallone realized he couldn't afford a single meal for the dog. Standing outside a local liquor store, he made an agonizing choice. He approached a complete stranger and sold Butkus for $25. By handing over that leash, he had liquidated the last thing in the world he actually cared about just to buy food. His bank account was at zero, and he literally had nothing left to lose. In 1975, he scraped together enough change to watch a boxing match between Muhammad Ali and a heavy underdog named Chuck Wepner. Watching Wepner endure 15 rounds against the champion, Stallone saw his own path forward. If the industry refused to cast him, he would have to build the role himself. He locked himself inside his room, sat at a desk, and wrote the entire script for Rocky in exactly 3.5 days straight. In an 84-hour blur, he stopped being a passive, rejected actor begging for a job and became the sole owner of a highly valuable piece of intellectual property. He pitched the script to Hollywood producers, and they loved it. They immediately offered him $350,000 to buy the rights. But the check came with one non-negotiable condition. The studio insisted on casting an established, famous actor in the lead role, explicitly locking Stallone out of the part. This was a man who had just sold his dog to avoid starvation. Yet staring at a life-changing fortune on the table, he refused the offer. He held his ground until they finally reached a compromise. The producers would let him star in the film, but only if they drastically slashed the production budget and paid him a fraction of the original offer. Stallone pushed a guaranteed fortune to the center of the table, wagering a massive payout on his own unproven potential. That risk materialized in 1976, when Rocky hit theaters and became a massive box office sensation. The ultimate industry validation arrived when the film took home the Academy Award for Best Picture. Over the following decades, that single 84-hour sprint spawned a cinematic empire, generating over $1.5 billion globally across sequels and the Creed franchise. The billion-dollar franchise was the direct result of a man refusing to surrender his story. But long before the billion-dollar box office receipts, there was still the matter of the stranger outside the liquor store. With his first real paycheck in hand, Stallone tracked down the man who had bought Butkus. The stranger demanded a premium, and Stallone gladly wrote him a check for $15,000 to get his dog back. That $15,000 check bought back the only piece of his past that still mattered. He was bankrupt, sleeping in a bus terminal, and entirely rejected by the world. But because he refused to discount his own worth, he won the ultimate bet. The question is, what are you willing to bet on yourself?